Thank you, Sergey. I'm going to speak Spanish because I can be more precise that way than I would be in English. We've talked a lot about Turkey in the European Parliament over the last few years. We looked carefully at legislation following the intervention in Syria. That didn't create a very good environment, of course, but because we were critical of many of the aspects of our relationship with Turkey over the last few years, there has been a big benefit from that. Now, there's much more information given to the members of this parliament than we had before, and we know the country much better because we've talked a lot about our relationships with Turkey. President Erdogan said at one point that he appreciated a certain obsession with him in Europe, and that's what I agreed with. Sometimes public opinion and the European politicians didn't really see the country behind the president. And I think following these years of contacts and situations such as this allow us to better appreciate our relationships with the country itself. Now, we have managed to substitute some prejudice with information, and I'd like to apologize to our Turkish friends for two incidents that happened in the parliament because of extreme right members who maintain their prejudices, and they have an attitude that has to do with some sort of Islamophobia or other sort of prejudice, and I would like to apologize for those two incidents which took place in the plenary and which were highly offensive to Turkey. And I'd like to say to my friend Farouk that this parliament has never supported any type of promoting of terrorism in these corridors. It's true that there have been certain actions that could have been perceived of this, but that was not the case at all from the PKK or any other terrorist grouping. The major risk in the relationship was the frontal questioning of the framework of the accession procedure itself. We saw in the parliament at the beginning of this legislature how many members and group leaders from larger groups decided that there was nothing to do with Turkey. We had to abandon the accession procedure. We had to look for other formats. I think that risk is gone now. I think Ismail and Farouk have repeated that Turkey continues to want to be a candidate country. We in the parliament, each time that there was an attempt through an amendment to question this, it was with a grand majority rejected. Sergei and other colleagues amongst us have defended this format, and this is the backbone of our relationship with Turkey, and that must be the accession procedure and its position as a candidate country, because it's a more legislative framework, a less transactional framework, and it allows us in the European Parliament to have a legitimacy in discussing issues of what happens in Turkey. I was really angered when I saw the letter from the ambassadors, not for the same reasons that President Erdogan got mad, but I felt that there was no point in a letter sent to President Erdogan on any sort of domestic aspect was signed by EU ambassadors and those ambassadors outside of the EU. Turkey didn't ask to be members of that. They have asked to be a member of the European Union. That's why we are the legitimate forum to discuss this. And it's not a question of New Zealand or the US. So that's the special status we have, thanks to the accession procedure, that we are free to discuss issues, domestic issues, with Turkey. At the heart of the accession procedure is the question of values and principles of the Union. Farouk said that there are member countries who are blocking the procedure. Well, that's not really the case, Farouk. The process it was established because we noticed a lack of political will in advancing the procedure. But what I also need to say is that the report that we approved in this Parliament was very clear with respect to one issue that I would like to repeat calmly here. If we make progress in the accession procedure with Turkey, at the end of the procedure, there can't be any sort of religious, demographic, or cultural veto. We want to be serious. If we want to put the accession process back on the rails, there must be compromises on both sides. Things have to change a lot for us to reach the end of the accession procedure, but we need to be very clear. At the end, there can not be any sort of cultural, religious, or demographic veto. For the majority of us, the procedure is frozen, standstill, however you want to describe it. And in our opinion, this is due to a lack of political will to make progress on the reforms. And that's still a major obstacle. We shouldn't deny that. No matter what our geopolitical alignments are, at the end of the procedure, it will be an analysis of how the issues of democracy, human rights, and rule of law are developing in the country. Because we're a club which has a condition for entry, which doesn't have to do with geopolitical alliances, it has to do with rights. And that's why, Ismail, Farouk, dear friends, that it's not enough for us to receive 100 sheets on proposed judicial reforms. I mean, we need facts. And this meeting is a fact. This is what will allow us to make progress, assessing the facts we have on the table. There are other relationships outside of the accession procedure, and there I want to be very clear as well. Turkey is a candidate country. And is for everywhere. The Council, Member States, Commission, and External Action Service. And President Macron forgetting to mention Turkey when he talked about candidate countries, I don't know how to understand that. The fact that we asked the Minister of Foreign Affairs in the Council, and we got a silence. I don't know how to understand that. I mean, Turkey is a candidate country. Therefore, we all have to act in accordance with that fact, or question the fact, but we cannot make a statement of that type and then do what DG NEAR did by shifting Turkey off to a desk or something else. So it's not a third country, and we need to bear that in mind. For the other relations, it's necessary to come back to trust. We've lost a lot of trust over these years, and to come back to a basic level of confidence, we need to avoid rather aggressive declarations about the EU that we've received from certain Turkish authorities. And we've never had a European official talk about Turkey as the way Turkey has talked about the EU, such as a colonial power. We've never said things like that. That we're complicit with the murder of children in Ukraine. What sort of advantage does such statement have, and how does that improve trust? We are seeing improvements. We've seen this, and we're going to see this in the report. But I want to say one important thing. The improvements were already here before the Russia-Ukraine issue. We saw this before this almost total alignment. The Turkish alignment with an international order ruled by law. We'll talk about a lot of things. We'll talk about the customs union, high-level talks, etc. But I did want to set out a certain political framework from which I think we can start to talk about the other aspect of the relationships. Thank you.